Some people chase connection until they disappear in the effort. Others numb the ache so deeply they forget it was ever there. Both are just different ways of running from the same wound. For most of our lives, we've been taught to look at ourselves through the lens of blame. We ask, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just be normal, be calm, be enough? But the truth is, there's rarely something wrong with us. There's usually something that happened to us, something that shaped how we learned to survive. When we talk about trauma, many of us picture something dramatic, violence, disaster, a moment of visible harm. But often the deepest wounds come from what didn't happen, from the love that wasn't safe, the comfort that never came, the moments when we were scared or sad and no one noticed. That kind of pain has a quiet name: emotional neglect. It means that the child we once were didn't feel fully seen, soothed, or protected. And because children can't make sense of an unsafe world, we turn the blame inward. We decide it must be our fault. So we adapt. We become the peacemaker, always reading the room for danger. We become the high achiever, believing if we're perfect, we'll be safe. We become the caretaker, tending everyone else's pain so we never have to face our own. These patterns aren't signs of failure, they're evidence of how brilliantly we once learned to survive. They were intelligent solutions in an environment that left us alone with too much. But what once kept us safe can start to hurt us later. The same vigilance that protected us from rejection now leaves us exhausted. The same independence that once gave us control now keeps us distant from love. We can't hate ourselves for this. We were doing the best we could with the resources we had. And we begin to see our reactions not as flaws, but as messages from an old survival system. Something softens. The shame starts to loosen its grip. We realize we are not broken. We're carrying strategies that simply outlived their time. Healing isn't about fixing who we are. It's about remembering who we were before we had to protect ourselves so fiercely. And in that remembering, we begin to find the safety we've been chasing all along. Maya always said she wanted closeness, but her choices told another story. Every partner she fell for had the same quiet distance. A man who texted back a day later, who said all the right things but never really showed up. She told herself she liked independent people, but deep down she was always waiting for the moment she'd feel that subtle drop in her stomach, that ache of being too much again. In the beginning it was thrilling. She'd study every word, every pause, as if decoding a secret language. When he finally reached for her, it felt like winning something sacred. But then he'd pull away. Again, busy with work, tired, needing space. And Maya would shrink, smiling, saying it was fine. She learned early how to make herself smaller to stay close. She'd stop sharing the deeper things, stop asking for more. And when the silence stretched too long, she'd scroll back through messages, convincing herself she'd imagined the distance. Her friends told her she deserved better. She agreed, in theory. But every time someone kind and consistent showed up, she couldn't feel the spark. Their steadiness felt foreign, almost boring. So she'd drift back toward the ones who kept her guessing, the ones whose absence felt like home. She didn't see that her nervous system wasn't chasing love. It was chasing familiarity. Maya's childhood wasn't violent or loud. It was quiet in the kind of way that leaves echoes. Her parents provided what they could, but affection was rare, praise conditional. When she cried, she was told she was overreacting. When she reached out, no one reached back. So she learned the art of self-containment. She became good, helpful, easy to be around. She thought if she could stay calm enough, people would stay. What she didn't know was that part of her stopped expecting to be met at all. Years later, that same logic still ran the show. She'd sense distance and blame herself. She'd overthink every interaction, trying to earn the closeness that should have been freely given. When partners withdrew, she felt an old, wordless panic rise in her chest, the body remembering being unseen. And when someone finally did offer steady love, her guard went up. Safety felt suspicious. It didn't match her map of connection. From Maya's story, we can see three quiet truths. First, early misattunement, when our emotions weren't noticed or mirrored, teaches the body that love is uncertain, that we must perform to keep it. Second, we carry this learning forward, mistaking unpredictability for passion and calm for disinterest. And third, our nervous system, not our logic, chooses our partners. It seeks what feels known, even if it hurts. But awareness begins to change everything. Once Maya started noticing her patterns with tenderness instead of shame, she could pause before reaching for the familiar. She could sense the young part of herself that still feared being left and begin to soothe it rather than chase it away. And in that pause, before the next text, the next hope, the next heartbreak, something new began to stir, as if a small light was learning how to stay lit, even when no one else was holding the match. Ethan looked like someone who had it all together. He woke before dawn, gym bag by the door, inbox cleared before most people's alarms went off. His coworkers admired his focus, his calm tone under pressure, the way he could handle 12 things at once without flinching. But no one saw what happened in the quiet after midnight. The scrolling, the half-finished bottles, the relentless hum in his chest that never seemed to quiet down. He told himself he was just unwinding. Everyone did it, right? A drink to take the edge off, a few videos to slow the racing mind. But the truth was, he wasn't relaxing, he was escaping. The silence felt too loud. The stillness made something inside him ache. He couldn't name what it was, only that the moment he stopped moving, a heaviness would rise, like the air before a storm. In college, people called him driven. They didn't know he studied not out of curiosity, but out of fear. Fear of falling behind, of being seen as lazy, of disappointing the invisible judge that lived inside his chest. As a child, he learned that being useful earned him love. His father worked late, his mother was anxious, and Ethan figured out early that good grades and good manners kept the peace. He didn't know he was trading authenticity for acceptance. So he grew into a man who couldn't rest. Each task, each scroll, each sip was another way of saying, don't feel, just keep going. His body was doing what it had always done, protecting him from a pain he never got to name. Not pain from catastrophe, but from disconnection. Moments of being unseen, unheard, untouched, tiny fractures that never healed because no one noticed they were there. People often ask, why the addiction? But maybe the real question is, why the pain? Addiction, whether to success, screens, or substances, isn't about weakness. It's about relief. It's a way the body whispers, this is too much. It's an intelligent attempt to soothe what was once unbearable. But what once saved us can later trap us, keeping us distant from the very life we're trying to feel safe within. Ethan began to notice small cracks in his armor, the meetings that left him hollow, the mornings he woke more tired than before. One night, instead of reaching for his phone, he just sat, hands trembling, breath uneven, and let the ache surface. It wasn't dramatic. It was ordinary and raw, like a child finally allowed to cry. For the first time, he didn't push it away. He listened. That's where healing starts, not in fighting the symptom, but in understanding the story beneath it. The part of us that turns to numbing isn't our enemy. It's the protector that once kept us alive. As you listen, maybe ask yourself, what am I running from when I reach for distraction? And what would it mean to pause, not to fix, but to feel what's waiting underneath? Think of your body like a house with a smoke alarm. Its job is to keep you safe. to warn you the moment there might be danger. But sometimes, after years of living through storms, the alarm becomes oversensitive. It goes off not only for fire, but for toast. That's what happens with implicit memory. The kind of memory the body keeps even when the mind has moved on. Of course, implicit memory doesn't live in words or stories, it lives in sensations. The tightening of the chest when someone raises their voice, the sudden freeze when a message goes unanswered, the way you tense before saying what you really feel. Is the body remembering moments when it wasn't safe, when no one came, when you had to hold yourself together? The mind may forget the details, but the nervous system never stops trying to protect you. That protection isn't a flaw, it's loyalty. The body's saying, I remember how this felt last time, and I won't let it happen again. It's trying to help, even when it misreads the room. That's why we might react more strongly than we understand. Maybe your partner walks out mid-argument and you feel a wave of panic that seems out of proportion. You tell yourself to calm down, but your body has already gone into alarm mode. It's not reacting to this moment. It's reacting to all the moments when being left meant danger, silence, or shame. Once you see that, the reaction makes perfect sense. The mind and body are not separate rooms. They're one living space, constantly talking to each other. The mind speaks in thoughts, but the body speaks in feelings, sensations, and impulses. When we start to listen with compassion instead of judgment, the messages shift. The alarm doesn't need to scream so loud when it knows we're paying attention. Healing begins when we stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what is my body trying to tell me? Each flinch, each racing heartbeat, each restless night is the body's way of saying, something once hurt here. And when we meet that message with gentleness, pausing, breathing, naming what's happening, the alarm learns that not every signal means danger anymore. Slowly, safety becomes something we can feel, not just wish for. And that's when the host inside us begins to feel like home again. Healing starts small enough to fit inside a single breath, a short note, a gentle boundary. The first step isn't to change everything, it's to begin noticing. Start with an awareness journal. Each day, jot down moments when you feel tight, numb, anxious, or suddenly small. Note what happened, when it happened, and who was there. You don't need long entries, just quiet noticing. This helps because it moves reactions from the fog of confusion into the light of awareness. You start to see patterns, and patterns can be worked with. Next, try a few compassionate quiet questions when you notice a trigger. What am I feeling right now? What might this remind my body of? What do I need in this moment to feel a little safer? These questions aren't for analyzing. They're for listening. They help transform judgment into curiosity, turning why am I like this into of course I feel this way. Then, at one somatic pause, a moment of returning to the body. When you feel that familiar surge, stop for just 10 seconds. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice one sound in the room, one caller around you. Then breathe low into your belly, letting the exhale fall out naturally. This isn't about controlling emotion, it's about reminding the body that the danger has passed. With practice, the alarm quiets faster. Choose one small boundary to practice this week. Something that honors your limits without punishing anyone else. It might be saying, I can't talk right now, can we continue later? Or leaving your phone in another room after a certain hour. A boundary isn't a wall, it's a doorway that protects your energy so you can stay present. It helps because safety grows when we learn we have the right to say enough. And find one safe connection to nurture, a friend who listens without fixing, a support group, or a therapist who feels steady and kind. Healing happens in the presence of safety, not in isolation. Connection helps because it reteaches the nervous system what it forgot, that closeness can be safe. Each of these steps is about gentle relearning. You're not forcing change. You're offering your body new evidence that it's okay to rest, to feel, to trust. Again, if at any point the emotions or memories feel too heavy to hold alone, it's wise and deeply brave to reach out for professional support. You don't have to walk this path without guidance. Healing grows best in safe company. When we look back at Maya and Ethan, we see two branches of the same tree. One reaching out for love, the other hiding behind busyness, both growing from roots that cracked in silence. But light can still find its way through those cracks. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about letting that light rise, slowly, through the places we thought were too broken to grow. Each small act of awareness, each pause before reacting, each breath that says I'm safe now, is a quiet victory. Change takes time because the body learns, trust one moment at a time, safety first. Tiny wins count, and through those tender beginnings, the roots begin to mend and the light keeps rising.